My name is Jason, and this is Just Watches. Now, I have reviewed a number of models from MMI watches, but I think this one I have in today is far and away my favorite. This is the CuttleChron, which MMI is letting me borrow in stainless steel and bronze for review. Now, before we get to that review, if you're enjoying the contents of this channel, I invite you to subscribe, and if you're enjoying the contents of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much. For price and availability, this watch is currently available for pre-order in both stainless steel and bronze in a number of colorways, including a full Lume dial for between just around $400 if you pre-order in November, with the price rising slightly in December. The full MSRP on release in January of 2025 will be $499 for the stainless steel models and $549 for the bronze ones. The case is a really interesting cushion style case measuring 42 millimeters in diameter, a short 42 millimeters lug to lug. However, the lugs do stick out slightly, making the true lug to lug 46 millimeters, 12 millimeters thick, and then a 22 millimeter lug with opening. Now, this case is actually based on an older MMI watch known as the Dumbo, which was the same square shape, but it was 46 millimeters by 46, making it a much larger watch. Now, I absolutely love this smaller version. This case is cool for a number of reasons. First, it's really nicely finished and beautiful to look at. There's a large, high polished bevel running around the entire top and bottom of the midcase, with vertical brushing between and circular brushing on the top of the midcase. It's a great execution of finishing on a unique looking case that has all the comfort of a cushion case. Now, I was worried the watch might be a bit top heavy, but the bracelet counterbalances the watch nicely, and with that short lug to lug, the watch stays nicely planted on the wrist and is incredibly comfortable. Second, the crown integration is very slick. Tucked into the lower right corner of the case, the shape of the crown mimics the other corners of the case, and the result is that the crown basically vanishes into the pleasing symmetry of the case. The bracelet starts at 22 millimeters before tapering down to 20 and then jumping back up to 22 millimeters at the clasp. The end links have a quick release. There is a touch of play between the end links and the head of the watch, but I'm really excited to see MMI using quick release bracelets. It just makes it so much easier to swap the bracelet off if you want to try a strap. And then that clasp also has a quick adjust. So it's something I've mentioned wanting to see implemented in previous reviews of watches from this brand. So I'm super excited to see them using both quick release and quick adjust. Now, the articulation of the bracelet against the back of the watch and between the links are both excellent, two factors that heavily play into how comfortable a bracelet wears. The links are nicely finished with vertical brushing that catches light on top and then a high polished chamfer on the edge of the links. The clasp is mostly brushed with that MMI logo engraved in high polished chamfers. That twin button release reveals a milled clasp, and then the clasp does house that quick adjust system and has 4 positions offering about 7 millimeters of total adjustment on the fly. Again, super happy to see this. I'd like to see quick release and quick adjust bracelets become standard across the entire watch industry. Finally, sizing is accomplished with screw links, and between the small size of the links and the quick adjustment, you should be able to get a perfect fit. The case back is held on with screws and helps provide 150 meters of water resistance. There's a really cool cuttlefish on the case back against a satin background. Now, decoration on a case back isn't something anyone will usually see, but I still love it when a case back is either exhibition so you can see the movement or has some cool design like the one on this one. This watch is powered by the Miyota 9015, which I much prefer to the NH35 when you're getting a microbrand watch. This is a 28,800 vibration per hour, hacking, hand-winding movement with a 42-hour power reserve and a stated accuracy of -10 to +30 seconds a day. It also features a quick set date. The 6.5mm screw-down crown is nicely knurled and signed with the MMI logo. It's also been lumed, which is really cool. As mentioned before, the crown has been cleverly tucked into the case in a way that retains the symmetry of the case. Despite being tucked in, it's still large enough to quite easily thread and unthread as well as operate the watch with. The unthreading and threading action is smooth. I think the implementation of this crown would have been wasted if it made the watch hard to use, but I'm glad to report that it's still easy to operate the watch with this cleverly placed crown. The sapphire crystal has a very slight dome and is ever so slightly proud of the bezel. It has been treated with anti-reflective coating. I like that it's quite flat here. I think a big dome wouldn't have blended well with the overall aesthetic of this cushion case being quite square. The 120 click unidirectional bezel has a nice coin edge and is easy to grip. The action is very satisfying, clicky, and consistent with just the right amount of resistance. And then everything lines up at 12 nicely. The insert is ceramic and has Arabic numerals for the 10s with dashes for the rest of the positions. A large triangle resides at 12. The bezel then is also very nicely loomed, and you'll see that in the Lume shot. Now the dial starts with a steep chapter ring with large white dashes for the hour positions and small orange dashes in between. The dial itself has a very subtle horizontal brushing that is only really noticeable in certain lighting but is a fun detail. It usually appears matte black. We have nicely applied round indices with a double index at 12. Moving in, we have the rotodate, which we find on almost every MMI watch. I love this type of date display. It's a bit busy on the dial, but it's fairly unique and a very interesting way to display the date. Finally, we have the MMI logo at 12 and automatic at 6. I like the restraint use of text because we already have all the printing for the rotodate and it just keeps it from having too much text on the dial. My only complaint on this one is the 12 index feels a bit squished between the rotodate and the chapter ring. Other than that, I love the way this dial looks and find it very legible. The white dashes on the chapter ring especially add to the overall legibility. The hour and minute hand are high polish and nicely gabled down the center so they catch light on either side. They're also filled with lume. Now I really like this handset. The length of the hour and minute hand are both very good, with the hour hand terminating at the rotodate and the minute hand reaching to the dashes on the dial. Finally, we have an orange second hand with a loomed arrow towards the tip and a long counterbalance. Now I love the splash of orange, and that orange does match the rotodate indicator and the orange dashes on the chapter ring, just kind of tying the second hand into the overall design of the watch. The lume on this watch is radioactive. It's extremely bright and responsive, and then we have a fully loomed bezel and the crown is also loomed. MMI has always done a great job with lume, and this is no exception. So this watch wears fantastic on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. Yes, it is 42 millimeters in diameter, but it is a square, so the lug to lug, even including the end links, is very short and forgiving at 46 millimeters. So I think this watch does appear smaller than the specs on paper might have you think. From the side, you can also appreciate just how interesting this case is, and the watch is not overly thick. And then we also have the bronze case, and it looks great on the strap as well. So pros and cons, starting with the pros. First, I think this is the best watch that MMI has made to date. In previous reviews, I said they should really add quick release and quick adjust to their bracelets, and they did just that. Also, the quality on this bracelet is a noticeable step up from previous models. The finishing on the links is also especially nice. I also think the hands have been upgraded. They're much nicer than on previous models, so all in all, a lot of improvements across this model from MMI. And then I just love this case shape. It's a bit different, but I love the way the crown is tucked into the case, and it has a really unique look. Third, you're getting a Miyota 9000 in this watch. At this price point, I could see some brands just going with the NH35, so I'm glad they're going with that. What I think is a nice movement of the Miyota 9000 series here. Last, the lume is killer, and the fully loomed bezel is a ton of fun. As for cons, I only have a few nitpicks. First, that I previously mentioned is the 12 index does feel a bit cramped on the dial. Now, I'm not a watch designer, so I don't know if I have a great solution, but maybe a different shape for that index, or maybe dropping the chapter ring would open up some space. Second, the screw-in links tend to back out often. Now, I've seen this on screw links from other brands, but I have had to retighten these a few times. So if you buy this watch, keep an eye out for that. If you do see them backing out, I would use purple Loctite. That's the lowest strength Loctite, and it will just kind of help those screws stay gripped in. Don't use a stronger version of Loctite because you might never be able to get the screws out, but I think if you use that lowest setting Loctite, that can kind of alleviate this problem. As for comps, I would definitely consider this a cushion case diver, so an obvious comp here is the Seiko Turtle. You can get the King Turtle 2 to have a sapphire crystal and ceramic bezel, but the Seiko bracelet is going to be totally outclassed by the MMI bracelet here. For quite a bit more, you could go with the Doxa 200T. That's a really famous cushion case diver, and it's been on my mind lately. I really want to buy one or borrow one for review. And then for less, you could consider the Vostok Amphibia. That's a really fun watch with a very distinct cushion case. So there you have it, the MMI CuttleChron. What do you think of this watch? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, if you're enjoying the contents of this channel, I invite you to subscribe. And if you like the contents of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. That's all for this time. My name is Jason, and you have been watching Just Watches.